Okay, so this is the start of our presentation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Knowledge Portal and e-learning. This is a very quick overview, introduction. We're trying to do three things at once, so it's going to be confusing maybe a little bit. So Knowledge Portal. Now, this is the way I normally organize my brain because there's so many things going on that I need to capture. So as an example, if you look at the Knowledge Portal approach, if you have the information, it's normally in a repository. So you would have reports in PDF format or doc format. You have slides, which is your PowerPoints. You have videos. You have images. And you could have just audio, which is podcasts. So in your repository or your information database, you could have this and many more. So it's up to you to structure that. And I think Susan's going to help us with that a little bit. All right. At the other end, then, we need we're creating e-learning modules, which is now, the two I've combined together, but they are actually separate entities. All right. There's the knowledge repository, and then there is the learning modules, and they're separate. They become part of the repository eventually. Obviously the cataloging would go on this side, right? You'd eventually catalog the information. So to present it, you would use a portal. And the portal, we're looking at possibly Moodle. If you have a portal, you need to maintain it. So that's another item that needs to be thrown on the wall. All right? You can't just build it. You got to manage it and maintain it. And then in the meantime, then on the operational side, this is where Zula and everybody else comes in, is we need the e-learning team. Okay? So we need the people that's going to actually create the learning modules. And then, of course, we need the subject matter experts. Okay? Took me a long time before I got rid of small, medium enterprise out of my head to subject matter experts. Okay? So that's sort of the big overview in my kind of brain, my mind map of what we're dealing with. And then we start to poke away at it. So if I only dealt with the e-learning, these are the kind of things I spent months hacking out. Okay? So if you break down the e-learning, so you have a whole bunch of things. So we had to look at what kind of development tools can we use. So this is the technical side. Huh? So obviously we have Active Presenter, Articulate, Camtasia, Captivate, and Aegis Sub. So these are all different products. And Active Presenter is the product we can afford, which is right now free. And it's good. Okay? So that's the development tools. That's what we need to learn how to use to build the e-learning. And then in terms of delivery, then there's the web portals. Then you have Moodle, Litmus, eLearning.net, Google Forms, Wikispaces. So these are all different websites designed for e-learning. Okay, so you have a whole potpourri. You don't like Moodle, go something else. All right. So Moodle, you have the docs, Moodle doc free. These are just linkages you can go look at. All right. Then deployment. So deployment really means where do you hang it? It could be a website, temp share. You get 10 days free if you want to hang your Moodle on it. Amazon, different. So you gotta basically decide. I think Dropbox has space for public, which is free, but it has to be public, so not private. So companies won't use it.
Are you familiar with Basecamp?
No, maybe we can add that to it.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with what it would.
So then, of course, you need the e-learning team. Back to the team again. So if we don't have a team, we're not going to create anything, right? So the audio-visual tools, we have Kazam, OpenShort. What I mean by audio-visual, if we're going to capture video, you need to edit them. So out of the editing in Linux, in the Linux world, Kazam and OpenShot is really good, and I'm a Linux person, so I hate Windows in terms of this, but a lot of people are Windows-oriented or Macintosh, so there are other tools, and I'm trying to find the best one for Windows. I haven't got a good one yet that I'm happy with. Okay. Again, I'm looking at tools that are simple for you, not kind of production grade. We're not making a movie, yeah? We're making something for learning. So it's things that you can edit. You know, when you do a video, we want to cut out pieces, we want to chop and paste. Okay, so that's simple things. All right, so what's the best? Still up in the air for me. Okay. So miscellaneous tools. So obviously you need things like, okay, again, these are kind of oriented towards open source. I use LibreOffice even in Windows. I'm happy with LibreOffice. LibreOffice does not try to do things just because, to change things so that they can sell you another version, which Windows and Microsoft does, okay? Inkscape, GIMP is basically image editor. Okay, and some of these other ones, FreeMind is what I use for mapping out ideas. Audacity is kind of audio editing kind of tools. Again, these are things you can search out yourself. There are a lot of free stuff, probably more than I can handle, trying to find out what to use. Okay, and then the hardware tools, obviously you need cameras. So I've got a camcorder that I use because I'm actually using it to interview people, all right, for their knowledge, for the stuff we're doing on assessment, best practice. Okay, now you can use an SLR camera. I recommend, in this case here, maybe an SLR camera, but with a viewfinder. Okay, because I found that using either a camera or say the camcorder that you're looking at an LCD out in the field is very difficult because it's sunlight. So it's really kind of, as my eyes get older, you know, maybe young people can see better, but I have difficulty. I prefer the viewfinder because it allows me to actually see bright area, you know, bright things and focus better. All right. So if you get an SLR, you'll obviously have the LCD, but get one with a viewfinder so that you can work outside. And in Mongolia, probably will be out in the field, you know, trying to interview herders or whatever you're doing as demonstration. The viewfinder is kind of critical to me. You can also, of course, use a smartphone, all right, and that's perfectly good for the things we're doing. It doesn't have to be, you know, 4K or HD. It can be 720p is fine. You know? You just want to get the message across. So you do need a tripod, a decent tripod for the camera. You do need a microphone, a good microphone. Like right now we're recording off this computer. You may need a microphone, and maybe that's a criteria for the camera is whether you can attach a microphone, external microphone to it. Because otherwise you're using the microphone on the camera. And out in the field when it's windy and everything else, you'll be getting a lot of background, okay? And then speakers, and then obviously maybe we're looking at a recorder as well, okay? And then the recorder, you could also use your phone as a recorder, all right? So many things you can adapt to on this. So that's sort of the e-learning thing we kind of hammered at for a long time to kind of pick the best out of each item. So that's my thinking process, all right? So in the developmental process, you have to do, so if you're developing e-learning, you need training, needs assessment, obviously. You need to analyze the tasks. You need to look at the instructional design. Okay, that would be the subject matter expert. Yeah? Graphics, page layout, design. So many of us, if you're getting a TA, he or she may not be very good at graphics. So it might look like this, you know, black and white. So you may want to jazz it up a little bit if you're going to present it to people. So that would require somebody in this office maybe that is a little artistic and can work with graphics. All right, and then you need to produce training materials. Zula's going to be an expert in many things, Zula. I hope you can expand. Then, of course, we need to design the course evaluation so people say, you know, good, bad, and different, and feedback, obviously, how you can do it better, yeah? So, ADDIE. ADDIE is a kind of acronym for analysis, design, develop, for lost the rest of the words, implement and evaluate. Okay, so those are kind of just an acronym. Analysis, you know, the who, what, where, when, why, by whom. I always, when I do my training, look at the analysis quite carefully because I want to know who am I training, what am I training? Why am I training? Obviously, okay? And so the design, so the design is really creating the blueprint for the structure, okay, of the training. So the design can be a designer. It doesn't have to be the subject matter expert, but the subject matter expert really needs to take the overall analysis and design and actually write the training material. That's the product, right? And then implementation. So if it's well done, then maybe somebody else later on can implement other than the SME. That's our intent for this, okay? And we want Mongolians to localize the original material, and then you deliver it here, right? And of course, you need the evaluation, M&E, okay? So the kind of team members you need to do this is really an instructional designer, course developer. So that is really the outline. I mean, when Merit decides on a TA, you're basically starting off with what do you need, right? You're kind of designing the framework for the course, for the TA. Okay, then you need the TA himself or herself to actually develop the material. And then you may bring a team in. They may be, the individuals may be good at designing, have their own feel and graphics that they want to use. If they don't, then somebody here can help enhance their presentation. And then you need your audio-visual team. So it depends on how you want to do it. You can do it as I'm doing it here with active presenter, or you're doing a video, sometimes in a room. If you want to capture the discussion after the presentation, so you'd have your camera set up, you have your audio-visual team there to make sure they capture the discussion, because that's probably the most critical part for the evaluation, right? After the TA's done the presentation. So that part, the other part, then it becomes videos, and, taking pictures, making sure you record the questions and answers that happens, because that's outside the presentation.
Right.
Okay? And then if you're going to put this up on a Moodle, then you need IT people that have some technical capabilities or trained to upload. Okay? Maybe you need some IT in the front end for the Moodle, and then if they teach people here, somebody can upload.
So maybe that we have to hire more expertise.
No. You're going to need IT people to do the Moodle. Okay, so it could be IGG, it could be whoever.
Okay.
Okay, so you need somebody that understands that, and then people here need to know, well, what do you do with this active presenter? How do we bring it up into the product? So there's a process, but somebody slightly technical, I presume. Okay. So usability steps, you do this typical stuff: plan, analyze, design, accessibility, test, and refine. Those are kind of standard processes. Okay, and then we look at platforms. So my platform I'm recommending is Moodle. It's an open source. You can tweak it whichever way you want. And Moodle itself has, in a case here, a repository of some kind. So your knowledge portal may or may not require a really fancy one, like the Swiss are thinking about. It could be a simple one that's part of Moodle.
I like simple.
Yeah. So, people, with every material, for example, there's a water area. So if you have water training, if you want to classify your Moodle into water, into something else, into pasture, herding, whatever, petroleum, finance, then you would have a series of readings, and you classify catalog your material that way. And then you have I give you some links, and you can go and check out different stuff. And a lot of this, the whole process of learning for myself, after I kind of throw up the mind map and go digging over here. I mean, what I found, without the mind map, I'm looking at so many sites and I don't organize my thoughts. Things are all over the place, okay? And my mind map is just a jumble, right? So with a mind map, at least I'm a little more focused, and when I see a branch I need to do, then I put a branch in. And I actually use, what's that one? I'll give you the name of the mind map. It's another free product that I use for that. Then you can use it yourself if you like, okay? And that's the end. So that's the talk. So now I'm going to go and stop